Hey everybody, welcome to the last part on class creation we're going to be seeing in this kind of video game guide we're working on here, okay? Not the last lesson though, okay? Don't worry. So this time we're going to be working on the defense. In this case, I decided to work on an archer so that I could round up the basic points I want to explain on this kind of character. Normally, we're going to see these guys characterized in this case with a bow, not unlike the animal tamers and by the fact that they cover their faces a little bit. We can represent these characters in different races depending on what we want to represent. For example, I'm going to decide that my character instead of human could be night elves. It's going to be a night elf. So we're going to have to be more defined, like cat-like features, so to speak. We're going to have dark hair, pale skin. So what we're presenting on the left here, you can see it. The only thing that's going to change would be, as I said before, that the ears are going to be pointer. Maybe the jaw is going to be a bit sharper. But hey, this will be like a general stereotype that they should have. Okay, but that's being racist. That's being elfist. All right, so as a base, as we've been doing in the other lessons, what I'm going to do now is create a kind of base sketch where I interpret the masculine and the feminine parts, okay? The only thing I'm going to do now is go over the hair to make it darker. This is just my preference, though. I wanted to make her hair darker, okay? Jesus, stop asking questions. Christ. Okay. After doing these details, I'm going to move on to create the second bust. That would be the masculine version of the defense archer. It's also going to be an elf, but in this case, it's not going to be a night elf. Maybe so that I don't have to give him these dark details. So, yeah, just a normal standard elf. Long, light hair, a clever look. All right, maybe eyes that look on into the red sky. So we're going to be differentiating them basically from their hair and maybe their eyes. Oh, we won't differentiate them because color doesn't mean anything. All right. I don't know. Maybe it's an albino night elf. I don't know if that's a thing. So as you can see, well, I've given him longer hair and a sharper jaw. We could also interpret the appearance of our character depending on what you want to show. Maybe you want to draw a human or you want to make an archer that's a dwarf. That's all up to you. Absolutely. Like, this is creativity, all right? These would be the kind of standards that I have in my head of how I represent using this race. Okay, well, from here, we're going to be seeing what I was saying about the hoods and stuff. So these are because archers prefer to kind of cover their identity with their hoods. Maybe it's because of how sneaky they are, you know? Who knows? Everything could be considered, depending on what sense you want to make of the hood on your character. This is normally a kind of archer thing, or maybe the neck or mouth is partially covered. We kind of just want the face to be hidden behind some kind of cloth that can give these boys that mysterious identity hiding their facial features, you know? The hood's design may also vary on what you want to do. So if you don't have any references, you could just look at Assassin's Creed, all right? This is the kind of thing we've based this off, like we said at the beginning of the course, and think about the hoods that different characters in the game might wear and how they wear them, okay? The structure of the suit's design is prepared and designed to have an appearance that's going to help the character to, like hide, like some kind of camouflage, maybe. So maybe we're going to see camo, okay? So we can see that in the green tones, they're going to be making reference to the forest, nature, and foliage. So it has to be something that's quite elastic so that the mobility isn't going to be affected there. For example, seeing as they're characters that are speedy, they're zoomy, they have to have a lot of mobility because, for example, the distance between the weapons that they can use and the attacks that they can reflect, this has to allow them to be able to run away without their clothes getting in the way, all right? In the case of archers, what stands out here is obviously going to be the weapon that they use. They use arrows to cause damage. They're precision weapons that have been designed to attack enemies from a certain distance. And to me, what we could have now in mind are maybe like these modern bows that are kind of made for Olympic sports. But we're going to be working more possibilities like working with an antique bow, like working on a kind of Legolas kind of bow, The main material we've used is probably going to be wood. And the rest is just decorations we want to put into it. We have to get creative with it, I made a pretty basic bow, but some pretty basic arrows, but the decoration can be can vary constantly, and depending on the degree of detail we want to put in our assassin, maybe, or the absolute opposite. It doesn't matter. Maybe we want to give our guys more of a humble look, and our tools are going to be like more subtle, or maybe we want to give her a higher status, where their weapons would be very different, like with the example of the higher social status in the tank. So the armor was shinier because, it was more pompous, It all depends on our decision and the story we want our character to have, which is also an important thing. Storytelling is an element here. We also have the weapons that are more hand-to-hand, like knives, that they could throw or not. Okay. They're normally smaller than what a tank might hold, and they're not very heavy. They might be light and mobile and fast weapons, okay? Okay, so later what we have left is mobility and the action lines. In this case, we're going to apply action lines that are much more dynamic. Seen as in resting position, maybe not, but with the weapons that the character might have, these characters are going to be forced to curve their body and exaggerate the position that they're in. These are just simple examples that I'm putting in so that you can see the lines that these characters are going to follow. And in the case of the bow, maybe we make these lines a bit more exaggerated. This drawing I just did will be like the structure of one of these characters that is going to present a figure that's much more athletic. Lighter, and if you look closely, we're not going to have an appearance that we would see in the tank. In this case, the muscles are much lighter, seeing as these characters are characterized by the speed that they possess in attack and in movement. I'm going to go over that arm because a little lower. It's a little lower than the other one. Okay, so this will be the result more or less. All right, let's get this better. Let's get this right. Rotate, transform, reflect, and there we go. That's better. That's our structure ready. Well, all right, so to finish up on this dummy we've just made here, the structure we're going to get in defense, we are now going to finish this first explanation on the topic of the assault characters we have here. And this will be the lesson pretty much done, guys. All right, that we're done. In this next lesson, we're going to see the clothing, and the last thing we're going to work on will be the action line again, okay? The main points for designing the right suit. And, well, that's it for this lesson. I hope you liked it. See you guys in the next lesson. Bye.